So now we're going to talk about how we can analyze matrices and how we can find numbers within those, just like we did with the vectors, how we found numbers within the vectors without actually looking at them. We can do the same with matrices. And to do this, we're using brackets. So here I'm using matrix 1 from before, and just to remind you, that was matrix from 1 to 20 by 2 with 2 rows and 5 columns. So that's what I'm using down here. So I'm using the same syntax that we saw when we printed out the matrices into our console. We saw at the top of each row, nothing, comma, 1, nothing, comma, 2, and then the rows were 1, comma, nothing, 2, comma, nothing. And that was referred to the fact that this was the first column and the second column and the first row and the second row. So we can do the same thing to find out what those values are. So if I want to find just the values in the fourth column of the matrix, what I can do is I can say, all right, I want all rows because I don't want to leave out any, comma, and then just the fourth column. And if I print this, it'll show me just the 2 variables in the fourth column. If I wanted just a single row, all I do is I put the number before the comma and I say I want the first row and all the columns. And you have to leave that empty space there, because if you don't include that comma, then it doesn't know what you're talking about. If this was a vector with only 1 dimension, it would say, all right, that just means the first position in the matrix. But because matrices are 2-dimensional, you need to tell it which dimensions you want in both directions. And you can do this to just get 1 column, you can do this to just get 1 row, and you can also use this to get multiple rows and multiple columns. So here I said I want both rows 1 and 2. The colon here actually means 2. So here I'm getting columns 1 through 3, or 1 to 3. And that will give me 1 through 3 and 1 through 2. Here I've created 2 more example matrices just to show you how you can combine them. So to combine matrices, they have to have at least 1 dimension in common. So if they both have 2 rows, you can combine them horizontally. If they both have 3 columns, you can combine them vertically. But they have to have at least 1 dimension similar. So here I've just made them both have 2 rows and 5 columns for simplicity. The first one goes from 1 through 10, and the second one goes from 11 to 20. So matrix A, I'll run that, and matrix B, and here they show up in my data in the environment box. And now just to get a look at them, here's matrix A, and you can see that it's gone by column, numbers 1 through 10, and here's matrix B. So say that I wanted to combine them horizontally. I'm going to use the cbind function and put both my matrices in here and say this is the first one I want, and this is the second one I want, and I'll run that line. And then if I print this, it's combined them to be just 1 matrix, which is 2 rows and 10 columns long. So what if instead of doing this horizontally, I wanted to stack them one on top of each other? It's the exact same thing, except you're using rbind instead of cbind. So you're going to take your 2 matrices, A and B, put them inside the rbind function, run that. I'm just going to call it matrix vertical. And if we run this, we can see that they've put them right on top of each other. And now I've got a matrix with both of those matrices combined. A couple other useful functions. If you want to find the mean of each row, there's a function called row means. Very simple to remember, which gives you the mean of each row, obviously. I'm just going to use my example matrices for this. Row sums will give you the sum of each row. Call means will find the mean of each column, and call sums will find you the sum of each column. And that's a very easy way to do simple functions on larger sets of data very quickly without having to do it by hand.
So in this lesson we learned how to find values within a matrix, how to manipulate the matrix, how to combine different matrices together, and how to apply functions to elements of a matrix. In the next video, we're going to learn about a different type of data set called a list.